Today's topic, electrolysis.
Hello everybody, I'm Emma.
And I am Fiona.
Welcome to Science Fundas.
Today we are going to learn about electrolysis.
According to a proper definition, electrolysis is the process of decomposition of molecules of a solution into positive and negative ions on passage of electricity.
Before proceeding, let us know about what is meant by a positive ion and a negative ion. In a neutral atom, the number of electron is equal to the number of proton is equal to number of neutron.
An atom is said to be an ion if it has a charge, which means the number of electrons is not equal to the number of protons. As electrons have negative charge, when the electron goes away or the atom donates an electron, the atom becomes positively charged because the number of electrons is not equal to the number of protons and the number of electrons is lesser than the number of protons. Therefore, the atom becomes a positively charged ion, which is called a cation. In another case, where the number of electrons is greater than the number of protons, because the electron is negatively charged, more number of electrons would result in a negative charge of the ion. And this is called an anion.
Before that, let me tell you, conductors are substances which conduct electricity.
That's right. So as I told you, conductors are of two types: metallic conductors and electrolytic conductors. Now, metallic conductors are iron, copper, and zinc, etc. And the electrolytic conductors are all acids and bases, and the salt solutions and molten salts. Now, let me tell you what is the difference of a salt solution and a molten salt. A salt solution is a salt mixed with water, like common salt, that is NaCl, mixed with water. Nothing but NaCl plus H2O is a salt solution, but NaCl in its liquid state is the molten salt. Now, metallic conductors conduct electricity with the help of electrons, whereas electrolytic conductors conduct electricity with the help of ions. Electrolytes are liquid conductors. Note that an electrolyte in its solid state does not conduct electricity. Liquids which do not conduct electricity, like benzene, alcohol, wax, sugar solution, are called non-electrolytes.
Now, let us look into the complete process of electrolysis.
Shown here is the apparatus used during electrolysis. It is called as the electrolytic cell. Now let us see what is in it. This is the electrolyte. The electrolyte is kept in an electrolytic tank. Here is the battery, which is connected to two poles which are immersed in the electrolyte, called the electrodes. The electrode, which is the positive terminal of the cell, is the anode, and the cathode is the negative terminal of the cell. The anodes attract anions, and the cathode attracts the cations. A solution of sodium chloride, that is sodium chloride mixed with water, and disconnect the battery, we see that the electrolyte is intact. But as soon as we connect the battery, we find that the sodium chloride solution has disintegrated into ions of sodium and hydrogen, which are the cations, and chlorine and hydroxide ions, which are the anions. Because the cathodes are negative terminal, it attracts the positively charged hydrogen ions, and the anode, being positively charged, attracts the negatively charged chlorine ions. And when we see the reaction in the cathode and the anode, we find that two chlorine ions burbur. After some time, we find that the hydrogen ions have come to the cathode and the chlorine ions have come to the anode. This happens because positive and negative attract, or opposite charges attract. Because the cathode is negatively charged, it attracts the positively charged hydrogen ions, and in a similar way, the anode being positively charged attracts the negatively charged chlorine ions. Now, the reaction that takes place in the anode is the chlorine ion being negatively charged means it has excess of electrons. Therefore, it would want to give away its electrons. When it tries to give away its electrons to the anode, which would want to accept electrons being positively charged, that means it has less electrons, the chlorine ion becomes neutral chlorine atom. When two chlorine atoms come together, they form chlorine gas. And a similar thing happens in the cathode as well. The hydrogen ion, being positively charged, would want to accept electrons from the cathode, which would want to donate electrons. And thus, hydrogen ions convert into hydrogen atom, and two hydrogen atoms combine to form hydrogen gas. And after some time, in the electrolytic tank, we observe bubbles formation. This indicates that the chlorine gas and the hydrogen gas have formed, and they slowly start escaping from the electrolytic cell. When the anode has become Now the only ions that are left in the electrolytic tank is the sodium ion and the hydroxide ion. They, having opposite charges, attract each other and form sodium hydroxide. This was the complete process of electrolysis. Electrolysis has many uses. It is used for electrometallurgy, electrorefining, and electroplating. That's all for now. I hope you liked this video. See you next time on another episode